Hello! This lesson is on the muscular system. First off, let me say that muscles rock. Here are some fun facts. Most average people have the same amount of muscles. Beefier people just have thicker muscles. You have all the muscles that you're ever going to have when you're born. You can't grow a new muscle, you can only try and fix one. That old saying, it takes more muscles to frown than to smile, is a lie. It takes 43 muscles to frown, but it only takes 17 muscles to smile. So a muscle is an organ that moves around your limbs, like your arms and legs, as well as your other organs. But there's more on that later. A muscle can relax or contract to help get its job done. There are two main kinds of muscles, voluntary muscles and involuntary muscles. Involuntary muscles move around without you having to consciously move them. You can't really control them on purpose. Examples of involuntary muscles include the beating of your heart, or the way that your intestines move food along. You can't really control how often your heart beats, the same way that you can't control the way that your intestines are constantly moving food through your digestive tract. The second type of muscle is voluntary muscles. And voluntary muscles are controlled purposefully by you. These are easy to think of muscles. Your arms, your legs, etc., those are all controlled by voluntary muscles. You have to consciously think, I want to put my hand on my face in order to get your arm to do that. At least I hope you consciously move your voluntary muscles around. There are three main types of muscle tissue. Two of them are involuntary. These are smooth muscle and cardiac muscle. And one is voluntary, which is skeletal muscle. In these pictures, you can see how these muscle fibers work. I mean, look. They do look different. The nuclei for each of these muscle tissue types, and the nuclei are those dark spots on the photos, and the connective spots do look different for each type of muscle tissue. Skeletal muscle voluntarily moves your bones around. You use skeletal muscle to walk, talk, etc. These are the most common type of muscle, and they're attached to the bones by tendons. Tendons are just thick, strong bands of tissue. Skeletal muscle is striated in appearance, and striated just means that the muscle looks like it's striped. Here are some pictures of skeletal muscle tissue. If you look at each piece of tissue, the horizontal bands, you can see that each horizontal band of tissue actually has smaller vertical stripes running through it. That's the striation or the stripes that I was referring to in the last slide. Cardiac muscle makes up your heart, so it's obviously super important. Cardiac muscle is also striated, like skeletal tissue, which means that it looks stripy, remember. But cardiac muscle, unlike skeletal muscle, is involuntary, and it's responsible for your heartbeats. Think of what would happen if cardiac muscle was voluntary. It would take you way too much energy to have to think about making your heart beat every time you needed it to beat. You don't have enough brain power to focus on beating your heart all the time, as well as doing the other things that you do in your daily life. In this photo to the right, you can really see the muscle parts. Each of those dark circles, which are marked with a 2, is a nucleus. The 3 points to the parts where each of the individual cells meet up. Next, we're going to talk about smooth muscle. Smooth muscles are responsible for running your digestive system. Smooth muscles make up your intestines, your bladder, your blood vessels, and more. Smooth muscles are involuntary, like cardiac muscle, so you don't always have to think about digesting. And smooth muscles are constantly, slowly contracting and relaxing. Your organs are actually made up of lots of layers of smooth muscle. And smooth muscle is the only type of muscle that isn't striated. Duh, that's why they're called smooth muscle. Here are some pictures of smooth muscle. Try spotting the nuclei in the areas where the cells meet up. It's a lot more difficult in these photos than it is for the striated types. So how do muscles work? To move your arms and legs, for example, you have muscle pairs which contract and relax simultaneously to pull your arms or legs to where they need to go. But to have the energy to actually use your muscles, blood carries molecules to each muscle, and then those molecules get broken down for energy. When your muscles are using these molecules for energy, They're taking chemical energy from the molecules and turning it into mechanical energy for movement. But that's physics stuff. That's more for 8th grade. So here are today's questions. Think about blood and muscles. Why do you need to have a lot of water if you're exercising? Or, what would happen if all of your muscles were voluntary? Don't forget to write your notes for this lesson. I'm going to be checking them in the next class, and don't forget to answer one or both of the questions from the last slide. Also, please remember that you can always write down any questions that you have while watching this lesson, or make notes of things that you want me to review or go over more thoroughly in class. I would be more than thrilled to go over these lessons in more detail once we get to class. So please, don't forget to write down any questions you have. Okay, bye.